Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. A lot of you all suggested to me that I go back to my blue background, my old studio. So here I am with my blue background and in my old studio. So your wish is my command. Okay, let's get into the topic at hand. 10,000 MSMEs shut down shop in India in financial year 2022-23. This is going to have a serious impact on India's economy. More so, it is going to have a serious impact on a common Indian. That's my topic of the day. Let's get right into the show. So, according to an article in Wire, 10,000 MSMEs. MSMEs means micro, small and medium enterprises. 10,000 micro, small and medium enterprises shut down shop between, that's the financial year 2022-23. 10,000 shops. Now, what we'll do is we'll talk about MSMEs. I'll give you the gist of what MSME is. I'll tell you what is the importance of MSME in a common Indian's life, and then we will get into the analysis part of it. So, MSME basically are companies that has got a annual turnover of 75 lakh plus. That is what is broadly classified into MSMEs. Now, in 2022-23, like I told you, 10,000 of MSMEs shut down shop in India. In 2021-22, 6,222 shut down shop in India. In 2020 and 21, only 175 had shut down shop in India, and in 2019-20, 400 had shut down shop in India. So gradually from 2020 to 2023, it's increasing on a huge basis. It is increasing. That is from 400 to 10,000 in the last 1, 2, 3, 4 years. That's the status. Now, also to give you some more data, 2020-21, for every single unit that shut down, that is 175 MSMEs shut down. For every single MSME that shut down, 11,000 new MSMEs opened. 11,000 for every one MSME that shut down. And in 2022-23, only 161 MSMEs open, only 167 MSMEs open, my apologies, for every single MSME that got shut down. So this is the status. Number of new small companies starting, less. Number of companies shutting down is growing exponentially. Now, why am I talking about MSMEs? Now, let's first understand what is the impact that MSME has on Indian economy. For starters, MSME contributes to 30% of India's GDP. 30%. Number one. Number two is 12 crore people are employed in MSMEs. 12 crore families in India run because of MSMEs. That's the importance of MSME. 45% of India's exports thanks to MSMEs. 45% of India's exports. Now, this is the impact that MSME has on Indian economy. Now, let us understand, why did I say that shutting of MSMEs is going to directly affect a common Indian? Why did I make that statement? Let us understand some facts. Let's understand some figures and facts, and then I will connect the dots. Okay, see, 1% of the rich owns 40.5% of India's wealth. This is Oxfam report. And only 3% of the wealth is in the bottom 50% of India's population. This is the discrepancy between the rich and the poor in India. Huge rich and poor divide, haves and have not divide, huge divide. Now, under normal circumstances, it is imperative for the government of the day, for the administration to ensure that this rich-poor divide has to be bridged. It has to be brought down. And you know what is the best method to bring the rich and the poor gap down? The best way to do it is to ensure that one promotes MSMEs. MSME is the solution to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor, the haves and the have-nots. MSME is the tool to ensure that the wealth is, I won't say equally distributed, but the wealth is distributed at least to to some amount of justice between the rich and the poor. That's what MSME does. And that's why I said that MSME will impact our economy and impact a common Indian. Now, more and more MSMEs are dying. The impact of more and more MSMEs are dying. Matlab, the gap between the rich and the poor will only increase. It will go on increasing. It will go on increasing. Now, 1% of the rich will own 60% of the country's wealth. And the bottom 50 will have 0.5% of country's wealth. That will happen tomorrow. So the rich will go on getting richer, the poor will go on getting poorer, and only the micro and small and medium enterprises can arrest this divide. Why? Because small enterprises, first of all, gives employment to people, employment to common people. 12 crore families are fed by these MSMEs. They give employment, number one. Number two, small and medium enterprises are started by middle class people. So middle class people start this kind of enterprise, and therefore our middle class has an opportunity to grow their wealth. And that in turn bridges the gap. So therefore MSME is important. Now, what really is happening today? Now, coming to my last part, my conclusion, why are MSMEs shutting down? MSMEs are shutting down because of tax terrorism. See, it is not rocket science. A lot of MSME owners must be watching this program, and I'm sure if you are, please write down in the comment. I'm sure they will tell you the way they are treated by these tax officials, be it IT, be it GST, the way they are treated. They are treated like there are some unwanted elements. They are treated, most of them are treated like they are thugs. They are into tax evasion. They are into doing everything wrong. That's the way they are treated. There is no element of respect when they walk into these government offices, these tax offices. Those tax officers sit there and act as if they are gods. And that is what frustrates an MSME owners. A, he is not making a huge amount of money. B, he is doing a lot of toiling to make that little amount of money that he is making. C, he is paying his people. He's paying his people, he's funding families of people who work with him, and most of them, he considers them as family. He fends those people. And finally, with all this struggle, he's burdened more by compliances and by the tax departments. And that's what frustrates him. And that's when he says, enough is enough. Shuts down shop. The government is very, very focused on rich and huge businessmen. When a huge businessman comes into trouble, the parliament burns up. When the huge businessman comes into trouble, the every top government official, stands for him or supports him or whatever. Everything is for big business. When a small businessman commits suicide, nobody even bothers. Nobody even bothers. And mind you, that small businessman is who is funding 12 crore families in this country. We forget that. We forget that. And that's why this topic is so important. The second point that I want, by the way, before I get to my second point, I am not therefore saying that you should not be focusing on rich people. I am not therefore saying that the government should not support wealth creators. Of course, the government should support the wealth creators. Of course, the government should support the wealth creators, but the government should be mindful that MSME owner is also a wealth creator. So, discarding him and only supporting the rich is what I am questioning. This is my point number one. My point number two. What benefits is the government giving the MSME? It is only burdened with taxes and compliance and rules and regulations and threats. He is threatened by banks if he misses one IMI. He is threatened by tax departments if, when they send you notices after notices. He is threatened if he commits one small error in his accounts. If he does a small error, he has to pay with his blood. Except for compliance and threats, how is the government supporting an MSME? What is the government doing for an MSME? Have we ever celebrated an MSME entrepreneur who has done well, who has given employment to so many people? Have we ever celebrated? So the MSME is like that child who is unwanted. He's lying there, he's toiling, he's trying to work for the family that is India. He's trying to work, he's trying to contribute, and look at it. He is even contributing 30% of the GDP is what an MSME contributes. 30% of the GDP. And what he gets in return? Nothing. He's shunned, he's humiliated, he's insulted, he's threatened, he's burdened, and he continues to do this thankless job. He continues to do this thankless job and comes to a time where he gets so frustrated that he shuts down his shop. This is the reality of MSME in India. Let the government wake up and smell the coffee. Till I see you next time. That's tomorrow at 10 p.m. Okay, tomorrow I have a very interesting editorial for you. I'm going to call some industry experts tomorrow for an interview, and I'm going to talk about how the Adani saga has an impact on India and Indian economy. So I've got some very senior guests with me tomorrow. Do watch tomorrow at 10 p.m. Till then, namaskar.